Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Good morning. Hope you're doing well or grand rising. Listen, the news outlets are now posting, and I'm going to show you some of the articles that are coming out, like from Newsweek, Fox, New York Post, and even the Indian Times, all reporting objects, thousands of them being reported not only around the world, but the vast majority of them are here in the US. They seem to be around the coast of the US, and I'll show you the map in one of my videos. And these are recent articles. These are articles that came out at the very end of October, November 1st, November 2nd. And it's not only in the sky. The Coast Guard is reporting objects under the water. When they're out on the water in their boats, these objects are following them, or they see them passing by them in the water, and they have green glows. And they have reported more than 9,000 of these green glows that they're seeing in the water. So, am I surprised? No, I think this is part of the reason why the government is shut down. Why they won't tell the American people what's going on, I don't know. But the fact that they have ran to military bases for cover, that says, that is something that speaks volumes right now. But these sightings are increasing. And they are actually picking this up on monitors. All of this is being monitored, and they're picking all these objects up. So it's not just people saying it, they're actually seeing these on telescopes and other things that they use to monitor the sky. So they are physically seeing this, all this activity that has been picking up recently. It goes back to when we were hearing about all the drones up in the air. People were seeing these car-sized drones and everything, and they never really cleared the air about that either. So now what? That these objects are up there and the ones under the water following the Coast Guard. So I'm going to let you listen to some of the videos I've had, but I'm going to also put on the screen some of the recent articles. Let me do that right now so you can see this. Okay, let me see. This is from Newsweek. Now, up here, I can tell you in the Northeast, ooh, it's a lot of them. It's a lot up here around the Northeast, all up and down the East Coast. Also, all up and down the coast on the West Coast, they are virtually everywhere. So, mysterious UFO spotted along US coast. Now, this came out October 27th, 2025, and this is Newsweek. And they got one of the objects right here where you can see it like a bluish glow. So I don't want to see Donald Trump's mug. He's just whining because he lost. All right. Let's see. There is more. This one is the Washington Post. All right. So they said this has been going on. They can even take it back to the 50s before satellites was even a big thing up in the sky. They have photographs going all the way back to the 50s, thousands of them, where people spotted these objects up in the sky and took pictures. And this article came out November 1st, 2025, and it's talking about the ones that they're seeing now. Right. So before we go on to more articles, we're going to look at a interview out of Chicago, Fox 32 Chicago, where they actually interview a scientist on this. And we're going to watch it. And he says some pretty interesting things in here. Boy, I tell you, it seems like ever since we seen the chatter has been going crazy over a three-eye atlas. It's so many things happening that we are never hearing about. If you don't really look for this stuff, you won't find it. But, yes, there's other branches of the military that have seen these. Look, I told y'all about an object the US Navy was flying up in the sky, spotted. They tried to throw a Hellfire missile on it, and it bounced right off of it. It bounced right off of this object. And you can even hear the pilot say, "What the hell?" Yeah, you know. So the Navy definitely have had many sightings and recorded many sightings up in the sky. But, many branches of the military have seen these objects. All right, let's watch this interview. See here. Please give me a one if you can see my screen. Thank you.
UFO expert to talk a little bit more about what's been going on. It has so many people talking, Alejandro.
Exciting topic.
Oh boy. All right. So I'm seeing here that there is a popular UFO reporting app that you have that records these thousands of sightings. What are we seeing?
Yeah, so we've got this app, take reports, and we're getting hundreds of reports a week. The majority of these reports, I look at the videos and kind of analyze those because I've got a history of experience doing this. The majority are mistaken identity, but there are those that are really we don't know what they are. And we kind of take a stance, or we agree with NASA or the government, that really we need to start collecting data, analyzing this data to figure out what's going on. These cases are really mysterious. So what we've been doing now that we've got, historically about 300,000 cases in our that you can look at, but we've collected ourselves in the last years over 40,000 reports. So we're group those into collections and then look at some of the characteristics of these different groups. And the latest group we're looking at are underwater UFO, commonly referred to as unidentified submerged objects, or USOs, which is kind of a set of UAPs. And we found some really interesting accounts. We've got a couple interesting videos, one off the coast of Florida, one off of Mexico, and we've got a lot of great, including off the East Coast, and even one closer to you all in Manistee there in
Oh.
again.
Oh my. Okay, so I have to ask you. I remember there was like a congressional hearing on UFOs or UFEs. Did USOs come up in that? I don't remember this term USOs before.
Yeah, it is not as commonly known, but it did come up. In fact, there's a former Admiral, Tim Gallaudet, who addressed this in those hearings, and he did talk about cases where it's been reported that things move quickly underwater. Referenced an unconfirmed project called Fast Movers, where actually kind of a code name they've given these up. I don't know for sure that that's been done. There's been other reports kind of saying that the Navy just collects these reports, they get them, but they don't really pay attention to them, which makes it difficult to then analyze reports. So yeah, it is a thing that does happen, come up in the hearings.
So I'm seeing that U.S. Navy officials warn that this could pose a threat to national security. How so?
Yeah, Tim Gallaudet in particular. So some of these cases get mixed up with like drones. So for instance, there's a couple of cases in 2018 that came out. One from USS Omaha, one from the USS Russell, where videos taken of multiple objects over these boats. So what are those? You know, these guys in the middle of the ocean. What's going on? Why are they happening? Now they've determined those are likely drones. But why this is important, because some of this they're alluding to is potentially Chinese technology, where the Chinese are looking at launching drones from submarines. It's obviously an issue. When it comes to objects that are a little more difficult to explain, such as very fast-moving objects under the water, you know, some people that have reported some of these things are, you know, right off the coast of Mexico or in places with a lot of commercial boats and that sort of thing. So, you know, anything running into something or something coming up that's submerged and runs into a private, you know, boat, something like that, that's where they're safety concern. And of course, when it comes to national security, one of the big arguments, especially with drones, right, that we've had a blind eye to them. We really been taking a close look at the advancements of the technologies and the utilization that our enemies may be using to observe. An example is these U.S. boats being caught off guard and these drones flying above them. You know, we need to have some real tactics. We need to be able to deal with that to ensure this of our sailors, so to make sure that the Chinese aren't gathering the, you know, intelligence we don't want them to get.
So I see that the states with the most reportings, this is no big surprise, California and Florida. But tell me more about what was discovered close to us.
Yeah, close to you. So there was a report on October 23rd, in October of 2023, in Manistee, and this was someone who says their car kind of broke down by the water, and they looked out in the water and they saw this bright beam of light coming out of the water that they watched for a period of time before it disappeared. So that's highly mysterious. You know, what would be beaming a bright beam light into the sky? They had a video, but they can't really tell, because really, you know, with our phone, they're made to get pictures of friends and stuff like that. So they're limited in their ability to capture objects at a distance, especially at night. The video didn't really turn out. You can't really make anything out, but an incredible account from this witness.
So how did we go from, I'm sure at some point, you know, you said USOs and people were like, to really being taken seriously?
I think there's a couple of things. So it's been a very interesting subset. Even scientists have been interested because it's a little harder to move underwater. So for instance, we have a report, one of these videos from Mexico, where the witnesses say this object went about 5 miles in minutes underwater. That's technology, you know, that we don't have. Like, we don't have anything that can move that fast. So that makes that curious and really piques people's interest and science as well. So if this is happening and there's these fast things under the water, what is propelling them? How are they doing that? There are technologies with our highly advanced missile systems that can do sort of extremely fast movements. But if that's it, you know, are we observing technology from foreign enemies that they're testing, or is this something else? That's what gets people really curious. I think what gets people curious now is that we've got this collection. Now, Enigma, we've been collecting these reports. We have more reports to look at, because really historically, there haven't been a lot of reports to look at. I need data gathered to figure out more about what's going on here. So it's exciting to get more data. I think that's what's important, is to keep gathering that data so that researchers can start to figure something out. And I think it's kind of like SETI, you know, for you gather this data, and maybe you don't have that smoking gun to say that something truly anomalous, is going on, but we've got so much anecdotal information that something weird is happening that it's good for that data just in case, and if we do get that case where we're able to demonstrably show that something anomalous has happened, obviously really important. And I think the popularity of this story shows that it piques people's interest.
Well, that is true. People's interests have been piqued for sure. Thank you so much for your time and sharing a bit of this mysterious data with us. And thank you for what you do with Enigma. Hopefully, by putting it all together one day, our minds will really fully understand all of this.
That's what I hope. Using scientific method, we can figure this out.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you.
No, what these folks are afraid of is being overtaken by whatever these things are. That's what the concern is, and that's what the fear is, because, I mean, let's face it, these folks have done a lot of harm on this earth, and they fear retribution. And they're afraid it may be here now. This is why they're running to military bases and believing that being there and being able to go down in a bunker, they'll be safe. And we know they ain't going to be safe no matter where they go. Let's see here. Wait, hold on. Share. All right, so this is another one that came out on Fox. UFO tracker maps eerie clusters of unidentified objects lurking beneath U.S. shorelines. We're being lied to. Yes, it's a lot of information I believe this government has, and they won't tell the people what's going on. They're not telling people what's happening. So this is another one that came out November 1st, 2025. All right. So now we're going to look at a few things from TikTok. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to look at this one from TikTok. And here is the US map of all the reports of sightings that have been going on recently. And you can see the map is, in red. The red spots are where people, saw things up in the sky. So, y'all, please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
So this is the current map of all UFO sightings that are reported, and this is current as of today. Can someone explain why there is so much more activity in the U.S. than everywhere else? Yes.
Over recent days. It's been happening over several weeks. Congressman, good to have you with us. The White House not ruling out anything, not giving us any answers. Neither did this hearing that we just heard some questions in. What is going on here, and when can people expect to get some answers from our leaders?
They should have had them immediately. Last night I was on the beach with Sheriff Mastronardi, and he's doing a magnificent job in trying to ascertain a threat for this. He's the Ocean County sheriff Sean Golden's doing the same thing in Monmouth County. So I was there on the beach and I talked to several people, including a commander for the Coast Guard, who told me that the night before, I was there last night, so 2 nights ago, one of their 47-foot vessels, boats, was trailed very closely by more than a dozen of these drones. Now that, to me, is very, very not just suspicious, provocative, and this could be a foreign power, whether it be Putin, or whether it be Xi Jinping in China, or the Middle East. We can't rule any of that out.
Yeah, this is incredible. So
incredible.
A United States Coast Guard boat testified to you that 12 drones were following it in the water in the Atlantic Ocean. Did they tell you anything about the size, what they look like? Were they able to get images? How close were they?
You know, they were pretty large, and they weren't far off the stern. So it's very, very troubling. I called the Joint Base and talked to the commanding officer there and asked, we know we have the capability within DOD to ascertain where it's coming from, even bring it down, and they have it, but they don't have the, quote, authority to do it.
What, from
so
who? See, this is the question, Congressman. So when you're out over the ocean and you have 12 of them out there, I think, it's a very reasonable question. Why weren't one of those drones trailing the Coast Guard ship shot down over the ocean and grabbed and checked out? Well,
again, the capability to do that in a way that could retrieve what it is and who's doing it, it resides within the DOD. They have it. I've asked the commanding officer to get that authority. I've written Lloyd Austin to ask him to give that authority. I mean, this could be the beginning of something, or it could be nothing. Who knows? But how dare they allow us to live? I just listened to the White House spokeswoman.
Say nothing.
They got nothing to tell us.
Unbelievable.
And we have the capability. And the night before, I was there last night till late. The night before, one of our police officers, again working for Sheriff Mastronardi, chronicled 50 coming from the ocean onto land. 50.
This is
I mean, this is really serious stuff.
It's insane. It's like a sci-fi movie, and it could be a hoax, but it's so large, the number of them.
There's probably a ship that
it's a foreign entity. It's something that the U.S. knows and understands, or it's some kind of massive hoax with lots of people involved. But whatever it is, we absolutely have to know. So, this lack of answers is absolutely
Martha,
really
there's no
upsetting.
way it's a hoax. We have foreign powers, especially China, Putin, Russia, and
we already, we watched the balloon go across and didn't shoot it down until it was well out over the ocean. So let's hope we can get it right this time. It's already very late in that process. Unbelievable. I had one, go over my house, and it's a strange feeling. So
we'll let you know what we hear from DOD, because they should give that authority today.
Well,
Bro, something's going down in America along the coastline. There is a UFO UAP tracker called Enigma. It has just tracked thousands and thousands of USOs, which stands for unidentified submerged objects, all along the coast. I'll put a picture up of all the spots. All along the coast, they're seeing these humongous green lights floating and coming from below the surface, right? Sometimes these green lights are bigger than fucking cities. Just the lights themselves, okay? I'm gonna show you the video. I'll come back at the end.
Dive boat, that's really dangerous. What did you make of it when you saw this?
Exactly that. I mean, I'm a master diver. There's nobody around there with a dive boat, with a dive flag, anything like that. I like to dive at night. Some people go lobster diving. It is still possible. This particular one, we haven't had time even to get out there to go check this out in the field. But you start looking at, the number of sightings that people are having in these locations, and, putting it all together, it just doesn't make sense that so many people are unable to, I don't know. The UFO thing has been, always people focusing on the sky, right? And so it's kind of like now that we're shifting to USOs, a lot of people are wondering if this is a new phenomenon or not, and it really is not.
No, and it really is not new. We've been getting so many reports of people seeing things flying in and out of the water, going down, not coming back up, submerging. Some things start off in the sky and then go into the water. We've been hearing about it for decades. For decades, people are just so used to seeing things coming in from the sky, especially now with the orbs and the drones and things like that. But this has been happening for decades. For decades. Did y'all see that green light? It went all the way down. If y'all remember, I think it was a few weeks ago, we saw the same type of green light in the sky in San Diego. Remember that girl? Someone's like, oh, it has to do with lightning. Stop it. Even the guy on the thing said it isn't. Then it's like, oh, these are divers. No, they're not. These spots, these green lights are bigger than houses. Stop gaslighting motherfuckers. No, because y'all are always trying to say something is something. Loud and wrong every time. Okay? But y'all, it's getting real fucking close to November. So yeah, let me know if y'all seen these lights in the water.
Are these UFOs? Are they a government thing? Like, what are they?
It's really low.
I know it is.
We gotta follow it. There's another one up there.
Oh, crap.
Chrissy and her kids took this video when they saw flashing lights that moved away after they spotted them.
Well, it obviously sees me. I gotta pretend like I'm actually driving. Watched both of them. So now there's 4.
They started seeing the lights over the summer, and now it's a nightly thing.
They would come and kind of like hover, and then we would go outside, and then they would leave.
About 1,000 miles away in New York and New Jersey, this is what people are seeing in the skies. Eyewitnesses say they look like SUV-sized drones, and those sightings now have even the White House's attention.
Obviously, this is something that DHS and FBI are tracking very, very closely.
Well, I don't want it to come closer.
As for what Chrissy and her mother Deborah keep seeing here in Minnesota, well, they don't know.
Right now, just the unknown is driving us crazy and making us mad.
Yo, what the fuck? Yo, that shit weird. Go over it, go over it. Nah, don't go over it. When we hit that shit, when we get stuck on top of that shit, and it keeps, that shit's brighter. It's getting brighter, yeah. They're pointing around like this. Yo, that shit's crazy. You're like a tornado or something. I don't see nothing. I just see like a flashlight. Oh, and it's moving up. There's somebody there, but it's like a light. I think it's a light. It's a flash. It's like a flashlight. I know. It's that look. There's 2. Let's go to that one, Monty. Let's take that one over there. That one over there just cut off and then it turned back on. It looks like a flashlight. It can't be a submarine, but not that long, Hell no.
There are confirmed reports of the US Coast Guard seeing these things coming out of the Atlantic Ocean. That is the latest news. At least 50 drones were witnessed coming out of the Atlantic Ocean and then subsequently following, shadowing the Coast Guard and then going onto the mainland, then coming back and then going below the horizon of the Atlantic Ocean again. So do with that information what you will. There are also unconfirmed reports that they're not in fact drones, but actually orbs. Again, I'm getting orbs coming up quite a lot again from certain news outlets, as well as the podcast Redacted that got sent some images with regards to the incursions going on over New Jersey right now and neighboring states. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting seeing how these guys are dealing with this. There's a lot of frustration in New Jersey. You know, obviously the New Jersey mayor, governor more like, has said that, you know, it's not a direct threat. But what he did say, which was very interesting, is that whenever we get close to these things, they go dark, which means they either disappear off radar or they disappear visually. We don't have drones that do that. And of course, why would drones do that with lights on them in the first place? These are ongoing. Obviously, we've done quite a lot of videos on this now.
New York Post just reported that there's thousands of USO sightings happening off coastlines, right? Thousands of unidentified submerged objects, USOs, are lurking off American coastlines and beyond, right? So on the Enigma app, there are thousands upon thousands, like 30,000 in total so far sightings that people have logged on the app. And it's about a 50-50 split of things being seen over land and then things coming out of the ocean. And more often than not, people see strange things coming in and out of the ocean. Now, a major thing we are experiencing right now is unexplainable lights underwaters, right? And this isn't just from civilian, this is from military to navy to civilian as well. Seeing green lights either appearing, descending in and out of the water, or basically staying under the water, moving around unexplainably, and then darting off at ridiculous speeds. And this has been reported for the longest time. And also, none of this stuff picks up on any radar, right? Fishermen as well, and there's so many pieces of footage of this sort of strange phenomena happening, and it usually coincides around earthquakes, hurricanes, and sort of like major disaster events, or even solar activity. We've had a major geomagnetic storm. Again, we get an influx of plasmoids or things in the ocean. So, yes, very strange to say the least, and the amount of stuff that he's picking up at the minute is very significant. What do you guys think? You let me know down below. 3 Minneapolis police officers reported observing a spherical UAP made up of 6 interlocking rings of coloured lights hovering at 10,000 feet. The object moved with both slow and hypersonic acceleration before rapidly relocating north. And this was shot through a pair of binoculars, and this is a photo that they shot as well, which is absolutely insane. This doesn't appear on flight radar. There's no flight data on this object, and this comes as a report from Finland yesterday, seeing the same object at 35,000 feet. I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty damn biblical to me when you say 6 colourful interlocking rings. Witnessed by 3 officers, passers-by, making no noise, no flight data, with no questions or answers to what this object could have been. And look at the state of that, bruv. Again, was reported by pilots in Finland the day before at an altitude of around 35,000 feet. Biblically accurate angel confirmed. Big up.
Keep your eyes peeled for all domain anomalies, ADAs, because apparently these mysterious objects aren't just flying anymore. They are up, they are down, they are even in the ocean. Seems thousands of the unidentified objects are reported every year, not spotted in the sky, but instead spotted in the water. Since 2022, an app called Enigma has tracked more than 9,000 water-based sightings within 10 miles of U.S. coasts, and they're plotted on these maps. The anomalies were shooting out of the water, or they were hovering over the water, or they were diving into the water, and get this, usually without making a splash. Okay, Ben, the video that we were just looking at, my first thought was, That's got to be divers, right? It's got to be divers with those neon lights. And then I thought, no, not at night without a dive boat. That's really dangerous. What did you make of it when you saw this?
Exactly that. I mean, I'm a master diver. There's nobody around there with a dive boat, with a dive flag, anything like that. I like to dive at night. Some people go lobster diving. It is still possible. This particular one, we haven't had time even to get out there to go check this out in the field. But you start looking at, the number of sightings that people are having in these locations, and putting it all together, it just doesn't make sense that so many people, are unable to. I don't know. The UFO thing has been, always people focusing in the sky, right? And so it's kind of like now that we're shifting to USOs, a lot of people are wondering if this is a new phenomenon or not, and it really is not. It's the submerged objects have been since the beginning. When we started reporting, remember we had these pilots that were seeing them in the water off of Catalina, and air traffic controllers were telling us that pilots were witnessing this glow, sometimes the size of a city. And so here you have this Fort Lauderdale case. It's a lot smaller, but it's really hard to say whether we're looking at a natural phenomena. It's definitely not like phosphorus and algae. It's nothing like that, and it definitely doesn't explain how people are seeing the objects come up out of the water and zip out, and these huge like flaps have been going on for decades.
There's an app and it's called Enigma where anyone can post sightings of UFOs and even underwater submersible objects, USOs. And recently it's come out that they've documented over thousands of sightings of USOs along the United States coast. We'll take a look at these next two videos because it shows witnesses encountering the first one coming out of Florida, this unidentified object in the water, and it's not scuba divers. But then take a look at that second video. That one was actually captured in San Diego, California. And this witness captures something truly out of this world. And does it have a tentacle? What was it? Take a look at these next two videos. Comment below. Tell me what you think.
Yo, that's shit weird. What the fuck? What is that? Yo. Submarino. Go around me, go around me. Voy a pasar para allá. Yo, what the fuck? Go around me, man. Yo, that shit weird. Go over it, go over it. Nah, don't go over it. Because if we hit that shit and we get stuck on top of that shit, and it keeps, oh, that shit's brighter. It's getting brighter, yeah. They're pointing around like this. Yo, that shit's crazy. You're like a tornado or something. I don't see nothing. I just see like a flashlight. Oh, and it's moving up. There's somebody there, bro. It's like a light. I think it's a light. It's a flash. It's like a flashlight. Pero mira, ahí go. It's that look. There's two. Let's go to that one, Monty. Let's check that one over there. Because that one over there just cut off and then it turned back on. It looked like a flashlight. It can't be a submarine though, not that long, man. Hell no. Those are aliens, bro.
Hey guys, Dabu7. It looks like we've got some kind of phenomenon going on off the east coast of the United States. I'm going to say it's happening worldwide. This stuff has been going on forever. Call it a UFO, call it a UAP. This website that tracks all these sightings, so to speak, is saying there's a massive uptick off the east coast of the U.S. You can see in the image in the center on the bottom, a lot of the reports coming in, U.S. Navy officials warning that this could pose a threat to national security. We have Congress on the record here recently, not only showing us hitting a UFO with a Hellfire missile and blowing it into pieces, and those pieces staying with the aircraft, but they've also said that these underwater UFOs, so to speak, are moving at like hundreds and thousands of miles an hour, like insane speeds that should not be possible per the science that we know. Well, we're not being told everything. That's pretty clear. And they're obviously operating with some technology and some knowledge that we don't have and we're not working with. Tucker Carlson came out and told all the millions that watch him in a form of soft disclosure that they are here. If you missed it, he said it. Broadcast this nationwide, worldwide, and told everybody listening they're here. And they're on the ocean floor, and they're inside this planet. Okay? So this disclosure isn't going to be what everybody thinks it's going to be. For whatever reason, thinks what Trump's going to come out and give some big statement on TV. Like, that's what they need to accept this or something. Yeah, maybe they do. They've got to reel in some of the rest of the crowd. But I'm going to tell you right now, soft disclosure's been happening. They've shown us more evidence than they ever have this year. And you've got this documentary dropping on the 21st that I'm telling you now, it's going to be loaded with a bunch of the rest. They're here. I've told you this the entire time. The fallen have always been here. It's not a secret. It's right there in your Bible. They came here. They were supposed to watch over the place, and they defiled mankind. They came into our women. They bore giants called Nephilim, and they had to wipe this place out because of it. Now we're all locked here. They're still here. I'm telling you. So whoever's coming down the hallway through the cosmos, so to speak, toward us, there's a chance it could be the good guys out there. And they would turn the whole world against them, of course, and say it's baddies. When the baddies are here, dude. That's plain to see. Join me for the live stream going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Talking about this in a whole lot more in greater detail. Hope to see you there. Much love.
New data revealing Washington State is the best place to be to get a chance at seeing extraterrestrial life.
Here to break it down, former UK Ministry of Defense and UFO expert Nick Pope. Nick, Washington 1, Oregon 2, Pacific Northwest seems to be where these aliens like to go, but I'm sure there's a better reason. What is it?
Well, I think there are a lot of variables here, and I think it might have something to do with the sort of outdoorsy nature of those states up in the Northwest. You know, big, clear, open skies, a lot of people out hiking, sky watching. So more people out looking around at things, more things get seen.
Yeah, Nick, you know, I think if someone said, I believe that aliens are walking around among us, I believe that there's UFOs in our airspace, a lot of people would say, you're crazy. What do you think?
Well, I think this subject has come out of the fringe and into the mainstream recently. I mean, we have hearings in Congress about this now. We have the newly formed task force on the declassification of federal secrets. They're going to be looking at UFOs. And of course, just very recently, the vice president made some fairly open-minded comments about this in a situation where this subject used to be an absolute third rail for politicians.
Yeah, J.D. Vance, literally to your point, coming out and saying, I have to, as vice president, help get to the bottom of this. I have to imagine that definitely removes the stigma about saying, hey, I saw something, I'm going to say something. Speaking of something, this could be something. Interstellar visitor 3I Atlas making a mysterious move toward the sun in what people are calling a cosmic turning point. Those people could have just been our producers, but I'm going to say it anyway. The expectation is that this thing should break up when it goes to the sun, because the sun, as we know, very, very hot. Things go near it, they break up. But if it remains intact and moves away from the sun, that could be a sign of extraterrestrial intelligence. What do you think it's going to do, Nick?
Well, you know, the simplest explanation is that it probably will turn out to be an interstellar comet. Hugely interesting in its own right, of course. But yeah, I'm watching this story very closely. If it does do anything really unusual, and it proves to be technological, it will be the biggest story in history. But if nothing else, look, this has got everyone thinking about this as a possibility. And that ties in, as I say, with the fact that this whole subject is now viewed not as kind of conspiracy theory or science fiction, but as a serious defense and national security issue.
Yeah, there is a debate taking place right now within the scientific community over this thing, 3I Atlas. Some people say it's a comet. Other people think it's something else. They think it could be a spaceship. Why do some people think it's that?
Well, I think there are some unusual things about its speed, its trajectory, the fact that comets usually have a tail pointing away from the sun as they approach. This one had a sort of anti-tail. But, you know, if we were sending a probe to another solar system, this is kind of probably exactly what we would do, a close flyby of the planets and then see what happens.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I'm watching very closely.
I think you said the key thing, though. If this story turns out to be not just a piece of space junk that's going to burn up and it turns into something, it will be the greatest story, biggest story of our lifetime. And Nick, we're sure to have you back. We will book you again.
Yes.
If it becomes
don't do any other shows.
Yeah, right. This is
the
our
one
show.
if this thing happens.
Former UK Ministry of Defense and UFO expert Nick Pope. Thanks, sir.
Appreciate it.
Hi guys, just the latest report on what's going on. So they've had an emergency briefing in Congress about these drones. One Congress member has stated that there are confirmed reports of the US Coast Guard seeing these things coming out of the Atlantic Ocean. That is the latest news. At least 50 drones were witnessed coming out of the Atlantic Ocean and then subsequently following, shadowing the Coast Guard and then going onto the mainland, then coming back and then going below the horizon of the Atlantic Ocean again. So do with that information what you will. There are also unconfirmed reports that they're not in fact drones, but actually orbs. Again, I'm getting orbs coming up quite a lot again from certain news outlets, as well as the podcast Redacted that got sent some images with regards to the incursions going on over New Jersey right now in neighboring states. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting seeing how these guys are dealing with this. There's a lot of frustration in New Jersey.
All right. Yeah, he's right about that. New Jersey seems to have clusters and clusters of them. So, anyway, y'all, it has been very crazy during this entire government shutdown. And I don't think this is, I don't believe in a coincidence. I believe they saw this and they quietly cut, just shut everything down. They knew about 3I Atlas. Now, I don't know if this is all connected or not, but look, the bottom line is just the timing of it all. And they're right. These sightings have been seen long before drones were even flying around and people start owning drones. There are people that saw these glows in the water decades ago, decades long before people start buying drones and flying them around up in the sky. So this did not happen overnight, but it is ramping up. That's why you got Newsweek. I found a foreign source, Indian Time, and also WEON. They also had publications out talking about all these crafts in the water and up in the air around America, and Newsweek, Fox is just coming out more and more each day. Mhm. And just from what it sounds like, it don't sound like they're very close to reopening this government at all. It's a lot of divisions. Plus, I'm sure Donald Trump is feeling a certain way. The Republicans didn't do so well in the elections that took place yesterday, what they call a blue wave. Yeah. So there were a few. One was here in New Jersey and the Democrat one. I didn't think the Republican was going to win. Donald Trump did endorse him, but he didn't win. And there was the Virginia where again a Democrat won, and at the end of the day, what difference does it make, when you got all this activity going on and this government chose to switch off everything and refuse to update NASA's website. So it just goes to show you can't really depend on them. A lot of this stuff that you heard, this is coming out from the public. It's not coming from the government, it's coming from the public. All right. So, Betty Felder 6654, thank you so much for the super sticker. Let's see. Go back here. Why is this highlight? Okay. Quantum Solace 5864. Thank you for the super chat. She's wondering why there are more sightings in North America than in any other regions of the world. That's easy. Why? Because prophecy is happening here in the Americas, Canada, and Mexico, the lands of the giants. Yes, absolutely. And thank you for your support for my channel. Also, Betty Feder, thank you also for your support for my channel. Okay, and let's see. Facing east. All right. Shalom, Sister Lisa. The government should be ashamed putting info about UFOs and aliens in movies as if it wasn't real, making money off of playing in our faces. Yes, you're absolutely right about that. And thank you for your support for my channel. Marty and Collins, thank you for your super chat. My people, it is Earthly Tech, not ET. Thank you for your support for my channel. And G. Bowman Jr., thank you for your super chat. You can always spot an agent of chaos trying to divert by telling you something is not real. Mm-hmm. And another one from G. Bowman Jr. Its chariot secretly ascends. The wind blows. And you know what? I'm glad you said that. I don't know what it is. Now, in New Jersey, it's windy virtually every day. I'm like, why is it so it is windy every single day? It's like we don't have a calm day. Every day is windy. It's really strange. And the light is given to it by measure. Enoch, chapter 73, verse 2, the Sefer. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Okay, and then I have another one from Quantum Solace. All right. And thank you for your super chat. The experts know everything, yet they know nothing about whom are the little ones. Thank you. And thank you for your support. Again, from G. Bowman Jr., thank you for your super chat. They want us all to not think how highly advanced intelligent the creator is. They want us all blaspheming. You know, you're right. I think what they want us to do, they know they're not going to make it. They know they're not chosen, and they know, nothing's good going to happen with these people in these last days, and they're fully aware of it. So if they can ruin your chances to be in the good graces of our Heavenly Father or even make it into the kingdom, yeah, they're going to do everything they can to try to mess that up. I definitely agree with that. And thank you for your support from my channel. Well, you can't really count on them to tell you everything. They got a reason to hide and try to lie and shift the blame and take no accountability. Boy, nobody knows how to take no accountability like these folks, boy. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, these are all signs. Look, y'all, 17 comets entered our solar system, and that's an omen. And you can feel something is not right in these final days. I mean, we know the government shut down and all that, but it's just the entire feeling and atmosphere in this country. It's wicked, and you can feel its wickedness. At least I can. Oh yeah, Jet Black. I used to watch that show. Remember that show, V? Yes. I used to watch that show. The aliens were harvesting humans. I hope they're partial to white people. To white people, huh? Mm-mm-mm. They just might be. Oh yeah, the energy has been different in this country, in my opinion, since the lockdown. They can't get this country back to the way it used to be. And I'm talking about 2019. 2019. It seems like from that point on, they can't get things right in this country. And they can't figure out how to get everything back the way it was. It has never returned back from that point on. And they're still struggling to do it, and they just can't do it. Oh, yeah, Dinah, I definitely agree with you on that. But, the only ones I do feel kind of bad for, because most of the SNAP recipients are children and elderly. And with Donald Trump withholding, he's just showing his wicked self. Donald Trump is just being himself. I mean, and just look at everything. He won't give up the money so people can eat. He done damn near tore down the White House. But then again, y'all, we don't need that slave plantation. The more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, I know my forefathers built that. But, these buildings were built by force. They didn't willingly want to build that place. It's just another plantation they had to build. And the way I see it, let him tear down that damn plantation house. I don't give a shit about that White House. It's not like it worked in our favor. The only ones that got to enjoy it are white people. We didn't get to enjoy that place. What were we in there? The butler and the maid and the help and the cooks. Man, tear that shit down. I don't care. Donald Trump can tear the whole thing down as far as I'm concerned. I really don't care. Just one more plantation gone. That's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, all military bases got bunkers. That's why they ran over there. Stephen Miller and Pete Hegseth and all them folks ran over there. Christie Nome, because they got bunkers over there. And I heard they were pissed that they came in there because, the houses they took were the ones that your general and your assistant general and your deputy general, they stay in those homes, and they kick them out so that they can occupy the quarters of high officials within the military. They get those homes. And they just threw them out so they can be in there. Mhm. Well, wherever these objects are, I hope some of y'all got that Epstein file, because that's what Donald Trump is trying to avoid the most. Maybe if he tries to destroy it, they got a copy. They got a copy of it that can still indict Donald Trump. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. But, it just goes to show you how cowardly they are. See, they want to lead, but they don't want to go down with the ship. See, when they want to leave us out here in the open to get destroyed while they go run down into bunkers. And it just goes to show you what big cowards these folks are in leadership. They're scared. Yeah, well, see, they want the chaos in the street because that's how he'll call martial law. So if he got people starving out here in a desperate situation, he's still mass firing people behind the scenes as well. So now you got people without a paycheck, you got people without food. Yeah, so it's easy for something to jump off in here. People are in a desperate situation. So he wants that to happen. So, he can declare martial law. See, he's tried numerous times to get us out in those streets, and we ain't budging. So now if he wants martial law, he's going to have to do it and look for another way to declare it, because using us, that is not an option, obviously, because nobody has been able to lure us out in these streets. So that's not an option. So he's going to have to find another way to declare it without us. But you keep people starving long enough, yeah, they're going to get out here and fight. They are. And it just goes to show you, he don't care about the people. He don't care about the people at all. He is showing you in more ways than one. He don't care if a baby is starving. He don't care if some elderly people are starving. He don't care. Thank you, Quantum Solace, for your super chat. Hold on. Even the so-called royals are wrapped up in the Epstein mess. One was already denounced of royal title, him being in that mess. Yeah, but you know what? It ain't much of a punishment losing title. The man is still rich. You're talking about Prince well, he's now Andrew. He's no longer Prince Andrew. He lost his title. But y'all don't feel bad for him. That dude is still wealthy. He is still wealthy. So all he got to do is lose a title and move out of his mansion into another mansion. That ain't much of a punishment to me. He's just Andrew. I forgot what they said his name was, and I could care less. But he can't bear the title of prince anymore. But y'all, he's still a very wealthy man. Okay, so I mean, what kind of damn punishment is that? If that's the case, let these brothers out of jail. Just don't call them Mr. anymore. They can't be referred to as Mr., but just let them out of jail. You took the title Mr. away. You know, that's a punishment. Come on. That ain't no damn punishment. I don't care about them royals, y'all. I don't care about them. To me, the only newsworthy story about them, if the monarchy completely collapse and fall apart, then I'll do that story. I'll gladly do that story. Come on, y'all. Those are not real royals like your King David. King David was anointed by the Heavenly Father. Those folks over there in England were hand appointed. White people appointing other white people to the throne. that ain't no anointment, y'all. that ain't no anointment. And I doubt seriously if the Heavenly Father will even recognize that as royalty. I'm serious. I doubt if he'll even recognize them as royalty. All right, y'all. I've been on here over an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. I do have another one coming up a little later for 3i Atlas, and I have a couple of premieres coming up. So I hope you can all come back for that as well. So please enjoy the rest of your day. Shalom, family.